Hey everyone, this is Mahira, aka MC Aquila, and today I'm going to be talking about theme. Oh boy. So, I used to not like theme. I used to think that a story having a theme basically meant that it was preachy. That story was about story, telling a story, a narrative, not pestering the reader with some sort of moral you wanted to deliver. So, I think that this came from encountering a lot of preachy fiction. This includes both, Christian fiction and secular fiction, where the writer or writers are just sort of beating you over the head with their beliefs. And any characters who disagree with their beliefs are just these terrible stereotypes, and there's no room for subtlety or nuance or shades of gray, and it's really repulsive. I think that we have all encountered stories like that. It's not that fun, unless it's being done intentionally and it's being played for laughs inside the story, but that's different. So anyways, I do believe that story is about story, but over time I have come to see that a story should be cohesive, and theme is about cohesion. So, let's say that the theme of a story is about the main character learning to rebuild trust and learning to trust again. But let's say in that story, there is a prominent character whose arc is all about losing trust and it's lost forever and there's no getting it back. That sort of contradicts the main theme of the story, which is about rebuilding trust. And that would work. Okay, so this sort of thing where the character just completely loses trust and cannot get it back, that could work in a story where the main theme was about disillusionment. But if you really just want to show the reader about things about regaining trust, this story about, this little side thing with this character who is just completely losing all faith in everything, and there's nothing more that can be done about it, that would be kind of contradicting what your main narrative was about. So it's kind of undermining your story in that it asks these questions and you might have the space to answer them. So the bigger the story, the more room there is for exploration. So instead of just your theme being rebuilding trust, you could explore both building and losing trust if you had a bigger story. So for example, a little simple story like a 50-page or 50-page comic probably has the room to do a good job of showing how a character could rebuild trust and the benefits of that. A comic that is 100 pages has more space to really explore and do justice to the struggles that come with both rebuilding trust and forever losing trust. It has the space and time to do both of these experiences justice. And this isn't about necessarily even delivering a message about what it's like to rebuild trust or what it's like to lose trust forever. It's about, showing those things which humans experience in real life in a way that is well done. Because if you rush something that is morally and ethically and or emotionally complex, it's just not, generally speaking, it's just not going to be as satisfying to the reader, because the reader will be left often with questions. So if you show a really simplistic portrayal of what it's like to deal with, if you show a really simple portrayal of what it's like for someone to completely lose faith in humanity, people are going to be well, that's this kind of a simplistic and kind of dumb portrayal, and why doesn't the character do this, or why doesn't somebody else in the story do this other thing? And you could leave the reader no room to doubt, basically, about like, no, you thought this through. You thought about the experience of losing faith forever in something or someone or just humanity in general, and you know how to portray that in a way that is true to the character and just realistic in regards to how humans experience that sort of thing. So basically, good execution of theme is a sign of good writing. And to clarify, like I mentioned, you can have apparently kind of opposing themes. So like, you know, the theme of completely losing trust forever versus the theme of regaining trust once it has been lost. Those could also be explored just in a character and the character's arcs. So like if you had, that is what I love about stories that have two main characters. And this would also be this could be like a hero and villain situation where the main character, the hero, his story is all about, he once lost faith in, humanity, but he is rebuilding it. He is learning to trust again. Whereas the villain is losing that faith. And the villain perhaps is given, this is like really common, by the way. It's very common to have them, you know, the hero and the villain be foils to each other. So the villain will be given the chance and opportunity to begin to rebuild trust again, probably later on in the story. And the villain can choose to reject that chance. So I think that is also really good because you can show that like two people can have very similar experiences. They have this experience of losing faith and trust, and they can either rebuild that faith or they can lose that faith and not rebuild it, not reclaim it. And now I kind of want to write something like that. But anyways, so yeah, and like it's really, really good let me just say, I personally enjoy whenever people show the different sides of a theme, like trust and losing faith. I really enjoy it whenever the writer will show the different paths that a person can take. But not every story needs to do that. And I think that's where like theme comes in, because for some people, the way that they are exploring the theme of trust and losing faith may mean that they are exploring the different ways that a person could go all in the same story. Whereas with another person, they might just be exploring one aspect. So, you know, like regaining faith versus losing it forever. And they are both good. They just have to be executed well. But both can be executed extremely well. So this is why, I remember how I mentioned, like, the shorter the story, the harder it is basically to explore a lot of different nuances and sides of a theme. This is why I think short story writers, like fiction short story writers, are generally masters of theme, because they have a very limited space to explore the ideas. And often they will choose to focus on a small aspect of the theme. But the more experience that they get and the more skilled that they become, they will be able to just unpack the heck out of a theme, just like exploring all these different aspects of it in a small short story. And they'll be able to do that without it feeling like it's contradicting itself or like something's not being explored sufficiently. I don't know how they do it. So I am not a short story writer. I'm rubbish with theme. It just amazes me how they can do that. If you are good at short stories, please comment down below on how you handle theme and, you know, the message of your story, because you astound me and I admire you and your skills. I want to be like you someday. I don't know if I ever will, but, you know, one can dream. One can dream. So, okay. So like I mentioned earlier, I used to hate theme because I thought it was about being preachy. Now I know it's not. It's about exploring an idea and sharing that idea. So now theme and I are kind of getting along now. Sort of. My theme is the grasp of theme is much better with fiction. Casey Lonan is really good with theme. She has written short stories, just to kind of give you an idea of how much better she is than I am. She wrote some pretty good short stories, and I think she also won like a little short story contest one time. Anyway, so my grasp of theme and use of theme in fiction is not bad. I think it's gotten okay. And I actually do enjoy how we are using theme to kind of decide what to include and what not to include in our books, which is great because whenever you're working with a co-writer, you have even more ideas and you have to decide what stays and what goes, and theme is a really great way to help decide what to cut out and what to include. So yeah, theme and fiction and I are getting along pretty well. Now, theme in comics, so Triforce of Power, I can't nail down the themes. I mean, obviously there is a general theme of weird friendship. Aside from that, I don't really know. There is like kind of a theme about betrayal. That sounds really heavy. A theme about betrayal and like forgiveness and resentment. It's like, it's there. It'll come up. Oh my goodness. It's a comedy, I swear. And there's also like, I don't know. There's a lot going on in that comic, and I just really didn't think about it that much up until like I started thinking about it more in like 2018, 2019. So for a while there, I was just like writing whatever the heck. And I still do that to an extent because it's still a gag comic. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. I hope I figure it out. I'm starting to get some ideas, but eventually, someday, I hope I will be able to say, these are the themes, and this is how they have been playing out. But now I can't see for sure. However, with my Pokemon fan comic, MOONBLAST, I think I am understanding the themes. I mean, there is the theme of loss and grief to an extent, as well as the far-reaching consequences of basically selfish action and how they impact both you and others and society, as well as connections, which ties into loss and death. And yeah, I think that's all kind of coming together, as well as like how selfishness and connections and loss can kind of interact, how selfishness can result in the loss of connections because you're focused on yourself and, it takes two or more people to have a connection. And yeah, so getting better at theme. I am curious on your thoughts on theme, if you have thought about theme, if you are incorporating theme into your work, if that's part of your writing process or anything like that. Let me know your thoughts on theme, and I will see y'all in the next video.